I'm Clever Ghoul, but you can call me Nikki. Welcome back to the channel. This week, I have a really easy craft for you that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen bleeding candles in stores. They're essentially candles that look normal on the outside, but when you light them, they drip red to give an effect as if they're bleeding. So this week, I'm finally doing this project and I'm taking you along with me. That sounds a little bit like a hostage situation. I didn't mean it that way. Now, the reason I love this project is because it's so simple. You really don't need any skill level to do it, so it shouldn't be intimidating at all, but I still would be careful if you're doing it around children, as there is hot wax, a stove burner involved. It's just there's opportunity there for kids to hurt themselves, so I'd be really careful with that. So with all that being said, let's get into it. First, you'll need some red taper candles. The ones I used are from Amazon and I have them linked below with an affiliate link, but I recommend using these because a lot of the reviews were kind of bad and said that they dripped a lot. A lot of taper candles you'll find today will say no drip, but you want these to drip. And on top of that, these aren't candles that are white that have a red wax coating on the outside. They're actually red wax all the way through. So that means that you'll consistently get the red drip going down the candle. I could have tested a million more candles, but these worked just fine. So if you want to trust me on this, just grab the ones that are in the link below. White pillar candles or prayer candles in glass containers. I got mine at the Dollar Tree. Be sure when you are getting these candles that you are checking all the sides and the bottoms to make sure there are no cracks. On one of my candles, I accidentally missed that part of the bottom was missing. And you want to be aware of that before you start this project so that you don't have wax going everywhere. So you can do this with one candle, but I would recommend getting two in case. A large pot, water, and foil or parchment paper to put over your workspace so that there's no wax dripping all over the place. First, you're gonna fill up your pot with water. You're gonna come really close to the top because you want that entire candle to be submerged in there. You're gonna put the candle in and then you're going to turn on the stove to a low heat. Now you don't want it to get to boiling because there's a potential that that glass could break. So I wanted to keep this on a low heat to start, and at max I went to a medium heat. Really kept it mostly on medium low the entire time, but to start for these first 5-ish minutes, I would put it on low. While that's starting to heat up, take your taper candles and put them in the fridge because if they're not cold, they might actually start to melt into that wax candle. Even when they are cold, you'll notice that some red dye starts to transfer into your wax. So you just want them to be cold so that it just doesn't become a big melted mess. Like I said, you're gonna wait for this white pillar candle to melt, and it's gonna be different for you depending on your stove. We all know everyone's stove is different. I have an electric stove and it took a little bit over an hour for the candle to fully melt. Basically stay near the burner. It's kind of like when you're cooking, you can walk away, but just keep an eye on it. I wouldn't really be doing other activities while you're doing this, just for safety purposes. Once everything melts down, turn off the heat, take it off the burner, and set up your space so that you have a little foil or parchment in front of the pan, and pull those red taper candles out of the fridge because now we're ready to start dipping them. Pick up one of your red candles and holding it by the wick, dip it straight down into the melted candle and pull it straight back up. Take it and hold it over the foil or parchment or whatever you covered your workspace with, and just kind of hold it there for a minute, let it fully dry. I would say take about 30 to 45 seconds to just let that wax start to harden around the red candle. You'll notice that the candle is only getting covered about halfway up, which is again why I originally intended to have two candles so that I could take one of them and pour into that other vessel so that I would fill it up and get more of an evenly dispersed white wax dip on the candle. But I figured out a way around that. Once the candle is cool from that first dip, you're gonna grab it from where you just dipped it and wick down, dip it straight down into that melted wax. And just watch here to make sure that the lines of wax are meeting so that there's no big gap in between them. If they overlap a little bit, that's fine. You can smooth it out. You're gonna pull that straight out and hold it and let it cool again. Maybe wait about 5 seconds and then using your thumb and index finger, press along that seam where those two lines met and try and smooth them down. Just really gently smooth them down. For me, I ended up having a slight line on all of my candles, but really it is so slight, and if you're using these for a dinner party or at night when you usually light candles, you really don't see it at all. It's okay if there's a little bump there, besides it's gonna be covered in red dripping wax later. Now that the top of the candle is cool, you're gonna repeat the entire process over again. Grabbing from the wick, dipping down, pulling out, letting it cool, flipping it over, dipping the wick side into the candle, pulling it out, letting it cool, and repeat. I ended up doing this process about 4 times or so per candle. You want your candle to start to look white, but I don't think you're ever gonna get it 100% pure white because that would take a ton of dips, and what will happen is if you keep dipping the candle, it will get so thick it won't be able to fit in any candle holder. I ended up putting mine in a candle holder while I worked on the next ones, but you just keep repeating the process with all of your candles until you're done, which means it's time for the reveal. Here they are. Now you may notice that I only have 3 candles here when in fact this was a 4-pack, but let me explain. At first I wanted to do this project with black candle wax instead of white, and I did try that first, but it went kind of wrong. There was a little bit of red coming through when it dripped, but mostly the red and black started to mix together. As you can see below, you see some of the red come through, but really it's so dark, it doesn't read well. I decided it was better to pivot and end up using white candles as the base instead of black. Overall, I'm so thrilled with how the other candles turned out. It gave the exact effect I wanted. Now I will admit that in order to really get them to bleed, it does take a while to let them burn, so I may have encouraged them a little bit. And by encourage them, I mean I held a lighter up around the sides of the candle, causing the red inner candle to melt more and start to pour out. And I really recommend doing that, especially if you're gonna have these at like a dinner party, or if you want them to look like they're bleeding right away. I would say give them a little bit of encouragement and cheat a little bit here and get the bleeding effect to start sooner. I think these are gonna be great for Halloween, if you're having a spooky dinner party, or if you just like the idea of having candles that look like they're bleeding. Anyway, this is a super simple craft, so easy, and I really hope you try it out at home. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!